things are getting very ugly for Donald Trump in Florida. Donald Trump in full collapse in Florida, where according to the latest YouGov economist poll, Trump's approval so far underwater, it's net negative 18. Let me repeat that. According to the latest YouGov economist poll in Florida, Trump's approval is net negative 18. Now, we've reported on the Trump-endorsed candidates Lauf and Mills in the Republican primaries from this past week getting rebuked and losing the primaries. That Trump endorsement is now like the kiss of death in Florida and elsewhere. You are starting to see Byron Donalds, the MAGA Republican sycophantic Congress member who's running for governor, who did win his primary. He seems to be kind of running away from Donald Trump. It's hard to do that, but he's like, this election actually isn't about Donald Trump. Let's talk about issues like affordability. Yeah, let's talk about that. How you and Donald Trump promised that you would make things less expensive and things would be so much more affordable and people would be able to afford gas and groceries and homes. And you've done the exact opposite and made the cost of living issue so much worse. But folks, there's even more data points in Florida that are not getting nearly enough attention. The Moms for Liberty movement that dominated these school boards, right? That MAGA movement with Trump and DeSantis taking over these school boards. Well, that has been rebuked. Those Moms of Liberty majorities in the Sarasota County School Board and other nearby school boards, that majority has been broken as people are seeing that, you know, the don't tread on me crowd, these Moms of Liberty, these MAGA sycophants, these MAGA extremists are all about treading and imposing their own views on others while they engage behind the scenes in some of the most heinous and disturbing conduct. People have seen the hypocrisy, the cruelty, and people don't like it one bit. I want to talk about what's going on in Florida right now because you've got Byron Donalds, who's running for governor against the Democratic candidate Dave Jolly, and Byron Donalds is flailing right now. But then I also want to highlight the Democratic candidate for Senate, Angie Nixon. I think she's given some incredible interviews lately. She's a very inspiring person, and she's running against probably the least inspiring person, Ashley Moody, a Trump MAGA sycophant who was appointed to her position. And she's just out there with her kind of voice squeaking, as Angie Nixon points out, seeming all nervous, but just calling people communist and socialist and just screaming out culture war buzzwords. And you have Angie Nixon, state rep out of Florida, who's now running for that Senate seat, going on the offense, and she's given some incredible interviews. So Donald, take a look at that approval. It's net negative 18. And so, the MeidasTouch Network had to go and ask Byron Donalds before Congress took their recess, what'd you think about Donald Trump's economic performance? I mean, we knew Byron was going to say A. He couldn't run away from it. And I'll show you in a little bit how he's tried to dodge and weave and run away from all of it. But we got him to say, oh, Donald Trump, I'm going to give him an A, maybe an A+. Here, play this clip.
So it would kind of help if the next governor of Florida knew a thing or two about economics.
Congressman, do you think Donald Trump has delivered on his promise to lower prices?
Yeah, he actually has.
If it were a report card, what grade would you give him on the economy?
Oh, he gets an A.
An A?
Yeah.
Got it. Thank you, Congressman.
Now, even MAGA sycophant Steve Bannon, though, is very worried about Byron Donalds. He's like, okay, we had a really tough go of it in this Republican primary that just took place last Tuesday. It's like those two Trump-endorsed candidates lost. And he goes, Byron Donalds didn't clear 50%. He got a Trump endorsement. He only got 47% of the vote. And Byron Donalds has been out there saying, we need to do data centers in everybody's backyard, that everybody in Florida should have their own data center in their community. And that's how Byron Donalds says he's going to get people rich in Florida by making sure there are data centers everywhere. Now Byron Donalds is trying to be like, well, maybe I don't mean that anymore, but we have you on tape saying it. And even Bannon's like, this is really bad right now heading into the midterms. Play this clip.
Byron Donalds totally underperformed last time. He got 47% of the vote. That means 53% of really the MAGA voters and the Trump voters and the Republican Party voted against him. One of these issues was data centers.
You're going to have data centers. We need to embrace that. We are wide open. We have actual land in our state that is still pristine, available to use. We can build out that stuff. I would rather build a data center in one of these deals, or probably 4 data centers.
When I know, Jay knows, Griff knows, Shane knows, there ain't no bans coming.
This is what they think of you. They think you're nothing but a rube, that you can be spoon-fed anything. This is not Eisenstadt saying it. This is not the Worm or Bannon saying it. This is in the memo from themselves. Byron Donalds vastly underperformed with all the money he raised and President Trump's endorsement to only get 47% of the vote. I don't know, man. Ticking time bomb.
Chris Nelson from Florida says, this is what a hyperscale data center sounds like. And Nelson was a Republican, or is a Republican. He says, Byron Donalds wants these all over Florida. Byron Donalds has said that. Let's play this clip. Now, as Donald Trump has declared this trade war against Canada, Canada has responded, as you know, with force. Canada says, you go to war with us, we go to war with you. We've already seen Canada boycott U.S. tourism and U.S. products and services. And this has really actually been a major economic drain in Florida. Florida is used to a lot of people from Canada visiting, especially when it gets extra cold in Canada. And you're seeing a lot less tourism. You're seeing a lot of Canadians actually not want to even live in Florida or live in the U.S. anymore. And you have, people like the Premier of Canada, Doug Ford, basically saying future governors of Florida should take notice. Governor DeSantis should take notice that in the Canadian provinces, we will boycott you. In Canada, we will boycott Florida, and we will make sure that that Florida feels the pain if you're going to go after us. So we have Byron Donalds over here. He was asked by Kristen Welker recently, gas and oil prices are up, inflation is higher than when Trump took office. You're going to give him an A+ on the economy still? Let's play this clip.
Congressman, let me ask you about the broader economic environment. As you know, that's playing a big role in your race and every race right now that we are tracking. Gas and oil prices are up. Inflation is higher than when President Trump first took office. President Trump says he should be given an A+ on the economy. Do you agree?
Look, I think the president has done a very good job on this economy, incredibly well. And here's why. Number one, wages adjusted for inflation are up again in the United States. Under the Democrats, their economic policy, wages adjusted for inflation were down, and very much so. That's where the prices just got completely out of control. Number two, when it comes to economic growth, we have had positive GDP growth. It's been actually quite strong since the president's come back into office. Number three, people being able to take more money home. It was President Trump's agenda, myself in Congress, and many Republicans on Capitol Hill.
Let's also not forget that Byron Donalds previously said that we need to increase the retirement age for Social Security. Play this clip.
I think the retirement age has to go up with regards to Social Security. Listen, when we started that program, we had 15 workers for every one beneficiary. Today, we have 3. In about 10 years, there's going to be 2 workers for every one beneficiary. So the retirement age must go up.
Byron Donalds has also touted going after immigrants and going after people who were previously on TPS. He wants to attack the Venezuelan communities and the Cuban communities and the Haitian communities and the immigrant communities all throughout Florida. And he wants to make sure families get ripped apart brutally, that people get thrown in ICE concentration camps. Byron Donalds is all about cruelty, all about hatred of immigrants. Let's play this clip.
But if you're in the United States and temporary protection is ended and you get caught here, we're going to deport you like we would anywhere else.
Byron Donalds then gave a press conference recently about the importance of education, and everything was misspelled on his sign. Let's play this clip.
Of the United States. Our kids have to be prepared to hit the ground running on day one.
As I noted before, you had the Trump-endorsed congressional candidates losing their primaries, like Lauf from Illinois, Corey Mills, whose background is very similar to Trump's in terms of all of the allegations against them and all of the horrific things that they've been involved in. But let's talk about what Dave Jolly's running for governor, Democratic candidate. He's saying Florida isn't red anymore. He says Florida's purple. Listen to what he had to say. Play this clip.
There's obviously been a big erosion, though, for Democrats in that state that was once the most purple of states, and now it's obviously tilted so heavily in favor of Republicans. Why?
No, it's purple now. It was red 2 years ago. Our congressional have swung by 15. The city of Miami just elected a Democratic mayor, first time in 30 years, by 19 points. Mar-a-Lago's elected a Democratic state representative. We are now purple. If the election were tonight, we would win. That's the overnight polling in the general election, which is why the White House is engaged, why Byron Donalds wakes up every day and screams, Jolly's a radical. I'm not even cool, much less a radical. He doesn't have answers for what voters are asking for. We do. Byron Donalds is in trouble. He's scared.
Also, we've learned that 18% of Republicans are now supporting David Jolly's campaign for governor. Listen to what he says here.
Jolly is receiving 18% of registered Republicans. That is surprising to me. Is it as surprising to you as it is to me?
You know, it's not, because all voters are looking for change. They want somebody to address housing, healthcare, and education. The cost of your house, if you can afford your insurance, if you can afford your rent. Where can you get healthcare in a state where more people are going without it than ever before? And are there good local public schools? And by the way, are you investing in clean air and clean water? That's not a Democratic, Independent, or Republican principle. But if there is something that's happening here, sure, I was a former Republican. I've been an independent. I actually talk about being a capitalist that believes capitalism creates the most amount of economic growth. I want to let the private sector lead. Look, Republicans could solve this if they wanted to. They've just drifted so far away that we're going to pull 18% of Republican voters in this race.
And then David Jolly says, it also appears that Byron Donalds seems to be trying to run away from the Trump endorsement now. Very interesting. Here, play this clip.
I want to play what Congressman Byron Donalds told my colleague Jake Tapper last night. Let's watch.
This campaign is not about President Trump in Florida. It is about the future of our state built around common sense conservative policies. And the question for our state and for our people is, do we want to continue down the same common sense agenda, or do we want to reverse course and start looking like Virginia and New Jersey and New York? And I will tell you, Jake, the people of Florida do not want to be like those states. There's a reason why so many new Floridians left those states.
Is there any validity to that argument?
Now, you know, Byron Donalds says the race is no longer about Donald Trump because he is running from the president who endorsed him. Understand what's happened in the Republican Party in Florida. Donald Trump endorsed Byron Donalds. He's known for one thing, Byron, is that he's Donald Trump's guy. He's raised over $100 million because Donald Trump turned on the special interest for him. Byron Donalds spent over $55 million in a primary where he was endorsed by the president and didn't break 50% in his own primary. More Republicans voted against the Trump-endorsed Byron Donalds than voted for him. Listen, Byron Donalds is in trouble because Donald Trump is also in trouble. And when Donald says that the race isn't about him, that's fine. This is a governor's race. But it is about the Trump economy. It is about the economy that Byron Donalds has tried to defend. I have challenged Byron Donalds. Get on the campaign trail with Donald Trump. Bring Donald Trump back to his home state, stand next to him, and defend the state of the economy for all Floridians. Not just the ones in Mar-a-Lago, but for all Floridians. It's amazing. On election night, Byron Donalds did not once mention the president that got him there. Byron Donalds is running away from the president. I think this is like the 06 cycle, when Republican statewide candidates in Florida and elsewhere wouldn't have Bush 43 campaign with them. I'm not sure Byron Donalds is ready to embrace the president in the next 75 days.
I want to highlight now Angie Nixon. Angie Nixon's running for the open Senate seat not the open Senate seat. So they're running against the Senate seat against Ashley Moody. It was a Senate seat that Marco Rubio had before. Listen to what Angie Nixon had to say about Moody. Play this clip.
These elected officials who are actually working less and less and less and getting richer. Meanwhile, we're working harder than ever and still struggling to stay afloat.
I want to play some of what your opponent, Senator Ashley Moody, has said about your campaign and get your response on the other side. Take a look.
My opponent will be a self-proclaimed socialist that proudly signed up and joined the Democratic Socialists of America. Angie Nixon, who will be my opponent in November, and her comrades want to destroy this country and everything that it is built on.
Some strong words there. How do you respond?
You know, when people's voice start getting squeaky and really high pitched, usually they're lying. And Ashley Moody knows that I'm not a socialist. I joined the DSA because I believe in them in regards to fighting for adequate public housing, as well as fighting for quality health care, as well as making sure that we are getting our veterans off the street, taking big money out of politics, right? The Democratic Party is a big tent. It is a big tent, and it's a everybody party. We have folks on the left, on the right, to the middle of the party. And I'm super excited to be on a ticket with someone like David Jolly, with someone like JJR, because we bring different things. And that's what folks, but at the end of the day, what folks want, as I stated earlier, is they are tired of the status quo. Ashley Moody is someone who decided to use $10 million that was supposed to be directed at the most medically needy kids in our state. She allowed that to be diverted to defeat 2 citizen-led ballot initiatives, which would have helped improve our health for Floridians here in the state. She also decided to increase, she voted against the ACA subsidies, which basically knocked off over 300,000 people off the ACA rolls. So our private insurance went up, as well as those folks who lost their insurance. She doesn't care about anyone but looking out for her billionaire friends.
More from Angie Nixon right here. Let's listen to what Angie Nixon had to say when she was asked by Kristen Welker this kind of gotcha question. Let's play this clip.
Healthcare, right? I don't understand what is wrong with me not wanting people to go bankrupt if they go to the doctor. There are literally people who are dying because health insurance companies want to deny their claims. They want to deny them life-saving health care. Like, that is wrong. Do we not see anything wrong with these companies? But why? They're only doing this because they want to make a profit.
Why join the DSA if you disagree with various parts of their platform? Does it not just become a distraction from your own campaign and your own agenda?
You all are the only ones that are distracted. I'm actually going out talking to voters about the things that matter to them. And so we should make sure that we're pivoting to the right conversations. The fact remains that there are people who are dying because they don't have access to quality health care. Meanwhile, Ashley Moody voted to end the ACA subsidies. As I stated, nearly 300,000 people fell off the Affordable Care Act rolls. There are people who are dying because they don't have access to health care. Also, the fact that Ashley Moody is corrupt, right? She's corrupt. She allowed $10 million that was supposed to go towards the most medically needy kids to be diverted because they wanted to defeat 2 citizen-led ballot initiatives. The status quo is broken. People are losing their minds right now and taking their lives and even taking their children's lives. And the people at the top want to stoke division and want to push this hateful rhetoric. At the end of the day, I have always been about the people of Florida, which is why my campaign is Angie for Florida. I want people to no longer just survive. They deserve to thrive and flourish.
Very quickly, because I know that you have to go. Congressman Jolly says he is a capitalist.
More from Angie Nixon over here when she was asked by Kristen Welker. Jolly says he's a capitalist. What do you make of that? Let's play this clip.
Quickly, because I know that you have to go. Congressman Jolly says he is a capitalist. Would you call yourself a capitalist, or do you reject capitalism?
I live in a capitalistic society. I'm a small business owner. I like to make money. I don't see what the problem is.
So are you a capitalist?
I'm a capitalist who believes that we need some strong regulation.
Okay. All right. And will you campaign with David Jolly? Are you planning to campaign with him?
I don't have a problem campaigning with anyone on the Democratic ticket that is for actually having quality health care, that's for actually expanding access to universal child care. I want people who want to improve the quality of life for all Floridians. I'm sorry, I am still operating on a minimum amount of sleep, but I am out here just, talking to people. I'm super excited. Look, y'all, it doesn't have to be this way. I believe that hardworking, everyday people should get to shape what our communities look like and what our economies look like instead of this billionaire class that is actually running the show. I'm ready to put the power back in the hands of the people.
All right. Well, I know that you probably have not slept.
More from Angie Nixon right here. Let's play it.
Let's go through a couple more. The DSA platform also calls for defunding the Pentagon and lifting sanctions on Iran. Do you support defunding the Pentagon or lifting sanctions on Iran?
I think we need to make sure that we are looking at the Department of Defense budget with a fine-tooth comb. They are the only agency or department that has failed an audit. And so I want to make sure that we're spending our money wisely. Right now, we are in a very expensive war in Iran, which has caused some of our military men and women to lose their lives. And it has also caused Jared Kushner, the son-in-law of Donald Trump, to get richer, and many of their campaign donors who are defense contractors to get richer. People are frustrated at that.
But would you go so far as actually supporting defunding the military?
I think we need to figure out what we're going to use our funding on, right?
So you don't rule that out?
I don't believe in funding. I don't believe in defunding anything. I think we need to make sure that we are scrutinizing them, and we need to make sure we're spending money the right way. What I do want to make sure we're doing, we need to make sure we're fully funding public education. We need to make sure that we are fully funding Medicare and providing universal health care for people, because people shouldn't be going bankrupt simply because they go to the doctor. We also need to make sure that we're providing things like universal child care. And how do we do this? Well, we repeal that big BS bill because it wasn't beautiful, the one that Donald Trump pushed, and we make these billionaires pay what they owe.
Here, Angie Nixon talks about how she's unseated incumbents before. Let's play it.
And I also want to be clear. I've unseated incumbents before. I've been outspent 5-1. And I did that while I was 9 months pregnant with COVID. Y'all, I'm not 9 months pregnant anymore, and I definitely don't have COVID. So y'all know I'm going to work hard as I can. And that is how I'm going to win. And that is how I know that Ashley Moody will be calling me senator in November.
And then finally, she answers, I think, this question perfectly when she was asked about cutting off aid to Israel. Let's listen to what she says here. Play this clip.
Do you support open borders into the United States?
I support a comprehensive and clear pathway to citizenship for folks. I believe that Border Patrol should make sure that they are securing the border. I believe, though, that there needs to be a clear, comprehensive, and compassionate pathway to citizenship, especially for folks like Haitians and Venezuelans.
Well, there you have it, folks. Let me know what you think. Hit subscribe. Let's get to 7 million subscribers. Thanks for watching, everybody. We appreciate you. Thanks for watching.
Hey, if you want the full story, how democracy got here and how we take it back, pre-order our new book, WTF America, today. Just scan the QR code or click the link in the description. Let's do this.